Well, welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I'm here to talk to you guys about the things that matter in our community, the things that are going on that we need to talk about, the things that we should care about as Black people. And there are a few things happening in the world that I think are really worthy of an intelligent Black discussion. And I think I have the perfect person to do that with today. So joining us today is Asha Castleberry, who is a national security expert. She's an Army veteran, and she's served her country quite faithfully for 19 years, I believe. And so I want to ask Asha, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, boys. It's great to see you again.
Oh, it's great to see you as well. Good to see
Mhm.
you. All right. And
Mhm.
so, Asha, you and I met you when you were way back in the day when you were an undergrad, when you were in China. We took a trip to China as part of a group, and since that time, I mean, you've just been rising and doing your thing, and just having an extraordinary career. I'm really impressed by that.
Thank you. Yes. Every time we talk, we have to talk about China, and
Yeah.
I do not regret at all studying abroad in China because there were so many gifts that came out of it, and one was meeting you. You are a lifetime friend, and then
Yeah.
also I think it goes deeper than that too, as well, where it was for me to end up in China in 2005 taught me so much about the world and helps explain to me the current state of the international system and also our national security. China is more relevant than ever when you look at where we are when it comes to our national security policy. And so I think it was just meant for me to be there to learn it at early stages so that in 2025 it helps me better understand what we're going through. Just being there with you and um under observing the rapid development of their infrastructure, the economy, learning with you and Dr. Chen, and then also understanding how their Chinese constitution and how they don't really have they don't really embrace the democratic rights and just the post period of the Deng Xiaoping economic reform explains so much of their behavior right now. So and what's really amazing is that as a former government employee, or just serving in a State Department or as a U in the military, that was so helpful in terms of being a student there, especially with people like you. I was just telling someone not too long ago, we were talking about how uh, the Chinese students, how they respect professors or teachers compared to the Americans. And I talked about observing your classroom. You said, come in, I want you observing. Give me some feedback. And I told them about how we were in China and we saw it, how the Chinese students, they didn't speak up. They didn't want to disturb you because at the end of the day, they had respect for you. And that was the first time I learned about that. So, yes, I
Yeah.
mean, if I had to start all over again in my life, I would go back to China in 2005 because it was such a benefit, enduring benefit for my career.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I mean, China is more relevant than ever, and there's a lot of, and what's interesting to me is it almost seems like when you look at the world right now, there's so many issues that we're not aware of, dangers that are out there that we're not even talking about. I know that this week Trump and Putin had that big summit in Alaska, and also on top of that, you've just got some things going on in D.C. That are concerning a lot of people. Do you think that, and this can bring us around to Charlamagne the God and comments on the Breakfast Club, stuff like that. Do you think that Black people are sort of seen as a group of people who almost behave like children in the sense that we want to dance and do our line dances with the fans and go to parties and barbecues, but we're not really paying attention to national security? Do you think that maybe as a community we should probably pay a little bit more attention to that?
Yes, and one reason why, and this impacts the America period. national security is becoming more and more relevant when it comes to our domestic affairs, more specifically, global trends, foreign affairs, foreign policy is hitting us at home. There's a lot of examples of that, whether you're looking at COVID, where did COVID come from? Overseas and then hit us here at home. Whether you're looking at technology involving cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, that's interconnected beyond our borders. So what happens in China in terms of buildup of artificial intelligence, or them constructing the international norms on how we should behave with artificial intelligence, impacts us here at home. Also, the impacts of climate change, right? That's a global issue that is impacting us here at home. When you look at water security, when you look at the rising temperatures, you can really feel the impacts of climate change every year during hurricane season. You're like, whoa, this is getting worse here, right? So that's another example as well. And then when you look at just what you said in terms of sending National Guard troops to different cities, right now we're seeing Washington, D.C. play out. Why is that a national security issue? Because that is the commander in chief making a decision, right, as far as managing troops, because that's what he's ahead of, making a decision to send troops to different cities as far as based on his authorities in terms of the state of emergency within that jurisdiction. So when you're voting, right, when you're looking at a candidate, you have to judge them based on how they are as a commander in chief. But a lot of people, and even our own people, don't take that into account. And one reason is because many of us are not really involved in national security. One national security employment mechanism that was more common but less common now is joining the military. Only less than 1% of the American population served. That was entirely different when you looked at the Vietnam War. Your father is a Vietnam War veteran, so they're more out of touch with these issues. When you look at the national security policy, and then also when it comes to understand the world. We have online or artificial intelligence to teach us what's around the world, but it's still not working. We're still thinking isolated. We're still thinking very local. And our world is so different in the 21st century where we're more interconnected with the world. So we have to pay attention to these issues. So looking at the Trump Putin summit, it's very important what comes out of these meetings, because in terms of principle, you have a Democratic leader, or the leader of the free world, negotiating with another leader of autocracies. And what are they compromising in terms of the principle issue, right? Kind of like what it reminds you of Cold War. Then you also have business deals happening, right? Where I told you.
Wait, business deals with Trump and Putin?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, tell me about that. So you're saying that, I mean, I've seen a lot of examples where Trump appears to be making a lot of money from being in the White House. How would he be making money in terms of business deals with Vladimir Putin?
Yes. So Trump is all about business. In fact, I thought about you when he recently passed an executive order on cryptocurrency. He wants to make it more unregulated. He wants to give more benefits to the cryptocurrency companies. And it's more for those who are on the top 1% to benefit from it. He took away for people that have the right to sue in court of those digital currency companies that have taken advantage of the consumer. So he's really about making money. So going back to the Putin, many of us looking into their meeting, we thought that it was going to be about the Ukraine war. And some of it was about the Ukraine war, but then there was a lot of speculation that no, Putin wants to meet with him to initiate or relaunch business with the United States. And there's a couple of reasons why. First of all, the Russian economy is not doing well. And then two, with these global tariffs, these countries around the world are getting together saying, how do we stop the Americans from imposing tariffs? And so there was speculation that the Indians and and China recommended Putin to meet with Trump and said, try to ease those tariffs or get those tariffs off of us, and then also look into doing business with the United States. So Russia wants to do this. They want to further invest in trade and investments, more specifically high technology, space exploration, and also helping out with additional businesses focusing, I think, on energy security. So we feel that we knew that there wasn't going to be much movement when it comes to the Ukraine war with this meeting, because Zelensky's saying, I'm not giving up no territory, and that's what he wants. Putin wants territory. So why are you meeting? There's not going to be a ceasefire. He's going to say, I want Eastern Ukraine. So we're stuck here. So many people speculated that this is about trade and investments. This is about business between Putin and Trump.
Oh, really? Okay. So you say that's maybe why Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, wasn't even included in the conversation. It's like, okay, so you're just kind of like a little kid. We're having grown man talk over here, and you're mentioning that India and China might have encouraged Russia to meet with Trump because they need help on the tariffs, because there is a lot of friction there in terms of the tariff conversation with India and China, and then Russia, their economy struggling. So it's really interesting, at Asha, how money just kind of changes everything. And the whole, I always explain how the United States is run by money, which is why Black people have to understand money. If you don't
Yes,
understand money, I want everybody to just know, are y'all listening? Let me know if you're hearing me. If you don't understand how money flows and how money grows, then you're gonna be stuck in the mud. Like, hey,
yes,
if you don't know how the money's flowing, if you over here waving your fan where your fans at, and over here like partying and barbecuing while they over here talking about the money, then your job will simply be to show up to work on Monday so that the rich people can actually extract wealth out of you as they're extracting wealth out of each other. When people say that the Trump administration is corrupt, I say, yeah, a lot of these administrations are corrupt. We know Putin and the oligarchs are running everything. And both of these guys are kind of gangsters. They both have their oligarchs around them, and they're, for Trump, his oligarchs are it's Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, what's the other one? Jeff Bezos. All of them were there at the inauguration, so they're showing you in broad daylight that money runs everything. And so what's interesting is that sometimes we see this as, oh, this is going to be bad for Black people. Um, not for all Black people. I mean, in the sense that the Black people that I hang out with, every morning we're talking about money right here in this platform with Black folks, and the Black people that I talk to, they understand how to watch how the money flows, and they're actually making more money now than they've ever made in
yes,
their life. It doesn't mean make it good. It doesn't mean that they love the president. It just means they're survivors, right? And I
yes.
think, to your point, so let's go back to your point. You took issue with Charlamagne the God's statement that kind of, to the effect, I don't want to paraphrase his words, but it sounded like you had said that he kind of just blew it off, like national security stuff doesn't matter or global affairs doesn't really matter. But you're saying that people have to pay attention to what's happening so that we can survive. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, thank you so much for bringing it up. Yes. So I think about a month and a half ago, one of the co-hosts shared with Charlemagne about my book, Why National Security Matters, and they specifically mentioned that how I underscore the importance of voters paying attention to national security policy, because when it comes to the presidency, uh, a bulk of it, or about 50% or more, is that's their job. So I said, when you, like, for instance, within the past 2024 presidential elections, we should be evaluating both or assessing between Trump and Kamala Harris as far as what's their judgment when it comes to decision making on national security policy. And we can't afford to just be single issue voters, right? Because I know
Mhm.
a lot of people that voted for Trump because of abortion. He's anti-abortion, right? That's it. And it's like, no, if I'm hiring you for a job, to in his roles and responsibilities. You just can't just focus on one of those responsibilities and dismiss the other ones, right? So we can't afford to do that, and that's how we're basing a lot of it on. But there was also other voters who did it based on migration and border security. That's valid. That is valid because there was a lot of outcomes that came out that were not so good. So, but yes. So after that point, when the co-host shared the my point, there wasn't really like a response or reaction from Charlamagne. It was like, oh, okay, and then that was it. So a month later, Charlamagne went on Fox News and said, well, the one of the co-hosts, I think Laura Ingraham, she said, "How do you feel President Trump is doing within the last several 6 months? Right? What's your opinion on it?" And he said, "Oh, I think he's doing a terrible job." And he talked about the recent bill and all that, right? And then the following day, President Trump came back around the corner and said, "You're racist." And then he started hitting him. And then he defended his record. And this is on Twitter. He defended his record based on his foreign policy work. He said, I have bought peace or been engaged with peace deals in 5 different crises." And he was talking about Rwanda and Congo. He was talking about Ukraine and Russia. He was talking about Israel and Iran, Armenia and Azerbaijan. I mean, he said 5 different wars, and then he said, and also this the security challenges along the border. I effectively addressed them. And then the last thing he said was, "Oh yeah, and the economy's better." But he really defended himself based on his foreign policy, national security work. And so then Charlamagne, he did pretty decent. His response to his tweet was, "Oh well, with the Israel-Iran thing, you didn't really do much because Iran's nuclear facilities are still functional. You didn't destroy them. All you did was delay it." Or put slap the create a setback for those nuclear facilities, and then the rest he couldn't really say much because he hasn't been really following those issues like India and Pakistan, because Trump also said, "I bought peace there too," between the two. So I know it's a lot and there's a lot of information going on, but I just feel like as Black people or just Americans in general, if you want to be so vocal about the president of the United States and his record, you can't just look at the domestic issues. You got to look at the foreign policy work too. That's part of their job. And so it was quite interesting how that all just developed within a month and a half, where I started off saying that point, and then it ended up with him and Trump exchanging.
Interesting, interesting. So you're saying that for Charlemagne to kind of blow off national security or blow off global affairs, it was ironic that when he was head to head with Trump, that he then jumps into sort of discussing these things that he claims don't actually matter or that he's not even really qualified to even discuss, which speaks to another issue that I think is really important. I think personally that one reason that why Black politics has never worked for Black people very well
Mhm.
is because we don't lean on experts to as Black leaders. We will look at an entertainer. Charlemagne's an entertainer. He's a radio show host. That's what he is. He's not a foreign policy expert. He's not a political expert. Now, mind you, I have nothing against Charlemagne. When he was interviewing Joe Biden, he sent me a text and asked me questions
Yes.
to ask Biden, and I gave him questions, and he listened. He actually took. I love it when I talk to a celebrity and they actually listen. Kanye didn't listen to a damn thing I said, but Charlemagne listened, LL Cool J listened, Ice Cube listened, Russell Simmons listened, and when they listened and they applied it, it was touchdown, touchdown.
Yes.
With Russell, we got the Obama administration to change their policy on mass incarceration. That was epic because they were livid over this. When it came to Ice Cube, he went on Chris Cuomo's show. He called me right before, and I said, focus on this and
Good.
this and this. He did that and he nailed it. He absolutely nailed it. Smart man, Ice Cube. Same thing. LL Cool J. He was going through a little political controversy, and Russell got him on the phone with me. I talked to him for 5 minutes. I said, "Say, do this, this, and this." He did exactly that. It worked like a charm. With Charlamagne, I said, here's 3 or 4 questions you should ask him that will make his head explode. I sent it over. He asked him a couple questions, and if you remember, Biden went ballistic. He said, "Well, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black," right?
Yes.
And so my point is to say that there are people, and I'm not the only one who has an expertise in something, right? I know what the hell I'm talking about. And there are other people like you. You're a national security expert. If you're going to go debate national security, talk to a national security expert. One of the things I respect the most about Ice Cube, for example, is when he wrote Contract for Black America that everybody should read. Everybody should read what Ice
Yes.
Cube wrote. It was beautiful. I went and looked at it. I just knew Ice Cube was a great rapper. I didn't know what I was going to see. And I read it. I said, okay, this man did not get up and write it like he was writing a verse for a rap song. He talked to all these experts from Ohio
Right.
State University and all these other institutes and pulled together a policy plan that was probably one of the most beautiful documents ever written in the history of all black people. This wasn't just like Souls of Black Folk or something like that. Don't no get no disrespect. Those are good documents,
Mhm.
but this was clear. This was like, here's how we solve problems. Here's what you need to do. It was right there with Dr. Claude Anderson level work, and Dr. Claude Anderson is another expert that they ignore. So we'll go and people will listen to a fucking comedian before they will listen to somebody who has a damn PhD in political science. That is where the black community loses. So, as
Right.
much as I love Charlemagne, he's smarter than most entertainers for sure. It's not his fault that they only talk to entertainers when they want to know policy for the black community. But if anybody ever wants to know why black people don't ever get anything out of politics, it's
Yeah.
because the first thing they'll do when they want to know what black people need is they'll put the microphone in the face of a rapper and somehow think some drug addicted rapper who hangs out with white people all day is going to understand what black people need. This should make all of us furious. I don't know if other people feel the same way, but it irritates the
Yeah.
shit out of me because this is why nothing ever gets done properly. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, this was, I mean, well said. I will tell you, a lot of us focus on stereotypes or what you said outside of our community, where where the white community is looking at us based on, okay, you're just only good at athlete, entertainer, whatever, comedian, whatever, right? But we do it to ourselves too, and I saw that a lot when my time in Washington D.C. Um, it wasn't just folks outside of my community that didn't really believe in my expertise. It was within, and sometimes that was more of a problem. They'll block you from just promoting yourself or sharing your expertise. Just low expectations, very low expectations. There's no way, as a black woman, you know about the world, because I don't know it. You don't know it. So there's no way. And it's like, oh yes, and I have a proven record. And you were really in China in 2005? Yes. There's no way. There's no way. It's a low expectation. And then what's interesting too, when opportunities come up to, let's say, advise these entertainers or politicians on these type of issues, and Boyce, thank you so much for promoting my voice or amplifying it on your network, because that means a lot to me. Because there are people that look like you that would not give me the time. They would not. But when there's an opportunity for someone to advise a potential elected official or entertainer, oh, they will not think about us. They'll go to a white person or a model minority, like some people say, Asian, because they know about the world, but you don't. There's no way. Because a bulk of black people I don't grow with don't know about the world, so there's no way you do it, right? So I want to just applaud those people like you and white folks and others that believed in my work and gave me a voice, because there's a lot that did not, and it's not just outside community, it's within as well.
Yeah, yeah, I think that is interesting because it speaks to the role that we play in voting for our own oppression. Like we contribute to it. It's not just them. Like this idea that somehow it's like, well, how can you know national security? You're black and you're a woman. You know, and but if you know black women the way I know black women, and you know a diverse range of black women, like the brilliant black women I see on Fly Nubian Queen and stuff like that, you know, black women can do damn near everything. Black
Yes,
women, you know, and black men can do a lot of things too, right? And it's no disrespect to, you know, the men and the women that do things like comedy and singing, dancing, rapping, and playing basketball and all that. That's fine. They're good at that. If I need a basketball player, then I'll call you. But if you are talking about something outside of your expertise, then it's time to pass the ball a little bit. You know, like I would not if you tell me you're looking for a good comedian, I'm not going to say, well, I can do that. Let me tell some jokes, right?
yeah,
That would be crazy. I would look like an idiot because
right.
there are people out here that are really trained at comedy, like say a D.L. Hughley, who's an
Mhm.
expert comedian, but you pay attention and you notice that guys like DL also become leading political commentators in the black community. And I know
Yes.
DL, he called me and cussed me out and threatened to fight me and everything. It was crazy. But I was like, I was sitting there thinking, bro, you're out of your league. They really got you out here looking silly right now because they always assume, and Malcolm X talked about this. Anybody listening remember when Malcolm used to talk about that? Malcolm said that when they're looking for people that want to share what the black community needs, they'll always turn to a clown. They turn to
Mm,
a clown. They will
mm,
never turn to a king or a queen or a thinker or a leader or a scholar or a strong black person because they know that that person is going to bring facts to the table. They're going
yes.
to bring standards to the table. They're going to bring expectations to the table. And they're not ready to deal with a side of the black community that has real expectations. And
Yes.
and so to me, the greatest leaders in our community, Asha, are all the like the types of people that are listening. The mothers, the fathers, the community leaders. Like you look at
Right.
there's a brother that runs a group called New Era Detroit, who's really in Detroit, really going into neighborhoods, really saving people's lives. Right? Or you go to Chicago. There was a lady who was talking about how when they want to supposedly help the violence in Chicago, they'll give all the money to some big white liberal organization that
Yes.
pretty much just makes their money by managing
Right.
dead black people. They just
Right.
manage the problem. They don't actually fix it. Because if you really wanted to fix it, you would give $100 million to the Nation of Islam, have them send 10,000 soldiers down to the hood, and you would never have another dead black baby ever. Not in
Right.
those neighborhoods, not when the nation's around. So my point is to say that people don't really want to solve the problem, right? They have a whole industry built around the management and the control of black people. Many of your so-called black leaders are just Negro managers, right? They just say what, you know, say a little bit just to keep black people under control and get us hallelujah and everything, and or constantly afraid of things that aren't going to happen, so that they can line us up like little sheep. They can get you to spend money with them. They get you to vote for them. They get you to come work for them, and that's it. Leadership is off the table. So Asha, let me Asha Castleberry, by the way, that's this is his name. Tell me about you wrote a did you write a book? You wrote a book, right?
Yes,
Yeah, you
I
did. Yeah,
did.
your book. How can I not? Do you have your book? Everybody
Yes,
should know about your book.
yes.
Everybody say book, 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 book. Type book in the chat. I want to see the book. And I want y'all to go buy a damn copy. Come on, this book, I don't know how much it costs, but it probably don't cost that much. And we know what's the title of your book? Why
Why
national
national security matters. matters.
and where can I get it on Amazon? How much does it
Yeah, you
cost?
can get it on Amazon. Yes. And my book talks about my trajectory in national security. You're in chapter 2, right? And then in the back of it, I shared the people who influenced me, and you're one of them, and Dr. Claude Anderson, right? And then I just told you yesterday I was went to Ice T's house, and he's one of them too, as far as Army
Wait,
veteran.
wait. Did you said Ice T?
Yes, Ice T. Yes, yes,
You said you went to his house?
yes. I went to his house because we
Why
work
were
on.
you at Ice T's house? Were
Yes.
you thirsty? I'm playing. I'm playing.
No, no, no. Prior to that, Ice T and I had worked on anti-gun violence together. We did a event together in Las Vegas on gun violence. And going back to what you were saying, where people only listen to certain people because he's a celebrity. When it comes to gun violence, his recommendations resonate more than those that are not. So and what's good about it is that, like you said, those that listen, those are the great ones, and he does listen. So what's amazing is that we collaborate together as far as Army veterans who are, want to work on anti-gun violence issues. And so I put him in this book too, as well, as far as my
Nice.
one of my influencers. But you're part of this, and pretty much the book talks about, just my different national security experiences or foreign policy experiences, from my work in China to the Middle East to Central America, learning about democracy, to working at the United Nations, understand why international institutions are important to us at home, and then discussing my work running for office during COVID. So, in the back of the book, I provide some key takeaways as far as how do we adapt to the 21st century. And one of them and I thought about you, is about how to adapt to the global economy and preparing for another economic recession. And it's pretty light. It just says, build up on your financial literacy. That's very important. And also, I talked about Dr. Claude Anderson's point where we have to practice group economics, right? Especially when we have assistance being taken away from us. It's important that we come together as a community, families or whatever, to help each other out and create our own business, right? So, yeah, and I also talk about other lessons learned, key takeaways, but one of them too, and this is another point that I embrace with you, is building up your global awareness, which is something I developed understanding that when we left China. It's important. Maybe in the 19th century it was okay, you don't have to be globally aware, but now you do because it's more
Yes.
relevant. Yes. So studying abroad, like what I did, or finding different ways, because that could come off privilege to some Black folks. Oh, you went to China, but people can study abroad, whether it's in Latin America, Africa, as long as it's planned and you raise the money to do so, whether you're, through a community center or a church, it can happen. And we need more people out there building up their global awareness, because there's a lot of students that come here around the world, understand who we are. We need to understand what's out there too in exchange. Mhm.
Well, I love that. I love that a lot. And by the way, so the book is called Why National Security Matters. Is that
Yes.
right? Why National Security Matters, by
Yes.
Asha Castle. Is it Asha Castleberry Hernandez or just Asha
Yes, that's
Castleberry?
my hyphenated. Yes. So it's, yeah,
Okay.
Asha Casper Hernandez.
All
Mhm.
right, all right. And so everybody, I hope you'll go to Amazon and take a look at the book.
Thank
And
you.
what I'm going to do is end on something that I'm sure, Asha, I'm sure you have something to say about this. And by the way, I want everybody, if you're watching, if you could take a moment, please hit that thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, just a reminder, I have a podcast on Spotify called the Dr. Boyce Breakdown. If you look up my name, Boyce Watkins, on Spotify, you can find it there. And also this week, the All Black National Convention is happening in Atlanta, and it's going to be lit. It's going to go all the way through Sunday. We have that extra Sunday day. So the National Business League, they stop on Saturday, but anybody who wants to stay on Sunday, we're doing nothing but Black economics all day on Sunday with thinkers, builders, entrepreneurs, investors, family people, everybody that believes what you believe. So you got to come through. Even if you don't have a ticket, just come hang out, and just walking around the lobby, you're going to meet amazing people. Just come there ready to build, ready to grow, ready to get your money, make your life what you want it to be. And also, it's not just economics, though. It's all intelligent Black people doing all things that we should be thinking about. It's a big Black think tank. And I know, Asha, I think you've been to a convention before, or have you not yet?
No, I have not yet.
Okay. Well, right now,
Online
what I
though,
want to
I
do.
have gone online.
Well, let me ask you this question. I remember when we were in China in 2005, you had the hoop earrings, and I said, "Oh, she must be from New York." And I can't remember, were you from Harlem or was it Brooklyn? Or was it neither one?
No, neither one. I'm right outside the Bronx, Westchester County. Hmm.
Oh, Bronx. I got it
Yeah.
wrong. I thought Harlem came to mind. The hoop earrings. I think it had Asha in the earring or
Yes,
something. That was
everybody.
way back in the day. Way back in the day. But
Those
here's
earrings
here's
are
what
coming back, by the way.
yeah, I know, right? They
Yeah,
always come back. But you know
yeah.
what? Let me say this. And they were very stylish, by the way.
Thank
And so
you.
So let me say this. Right now that I'm thinking about it, I want to invite you to speak at our next convention. We're actually going to be in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So it's right up the street from you, and I'm going to make sure you're on a panel because,
Thank
and I'm
you.
going to put together a panel of people like yourself because as
Hmm.
Black people, we have to think about what's happening in the world. So everybody, you should know the All Black National Convention is going to be in Brooklyn in 2026. If you want to be kept up on everything that's happening during the convention, pull out your phone, text the letters ABNC, All Black National Convention, ABNC, and type in this phone number. It's 87948. So text ABNC to 87948, and you can sort of stay connected to the convention. Even if you can't make it this year, you're connected to the vibe, the Black Excellence vibe. That's what we're doing. Now,
Thank you.
I want to name a few things that I would argue that Black folks should pay attention to when it comes to global affairs, national security. Number one is AI, and also not just AI in terms of the fact that it's going to take everybody's job, but also cybersecurity issues that are going to pop up with AI. I think that's important to pay attention to. I think we should pay attention to Africa.
Yes.
Africa is going to be the richest continent on the planet in the next 100 years, and there's going to be it's going to be a battleground of people fighting for resources in Africa. That's going
Yes.
to be a big deal, and we have African blood more than anybody else. I think it's important to pay attention so you'll know where part of your birthright is. You own America, you also own Africa. They're waiting for you to connect. Everybody should do that. Third, it might be, and I'll stop there, is the issue with the dollar. Now, there's kind of there's a
Yes.
lot happening now in terms of the creation of BRICS and the de-dollarization of the world. People don't like the fact that they lean on US dollars and they're doing everything they can to get away from it. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's something to kind of think about. Did you have anything you wanted to add to the list, or did you have a specific comment about anything that I brought up on that list?
Yes, just two comments real quick. Uh, Thank you for bringing up Africa because I saw that you went back there, and I know you went there before COVID, and so it looks like Ghana's still interested in Black Americans investing in Africa. I mean, investing in Ghana and other places because I know
Yep.
there's a big push. But that's a perfect example of why we need to understand or be aware of those opportunities and invest. And then our people, China, all over the place, right? And they're looking at a Black America as an alternative to say, no, come and invest here too. We have the Chinese running around here, so come invest there too. So that's important to note. Another thing as well, going back to BRICS, thank you so much for bringing it up because my team just recently did a press release on the BRICS summit that just happened in Brazil. Yes, I run a project called National Security 2050, which encourages Americans and people around the world to think about these issues, not just in the current state of it, but the future. And we were following the outcome of the BRICS summit. And yes, the erosion of the US dollar is huge right now. Like you just said, it's not going to happen overnight. But for them to meet all the time and talk about it and figure out ways on how let's invest in a digital new digital currency so we can counter the US dollar is quite interesting. So and then now that we have a president who's investing in tariffs, they're really looking into okay, how do we expedite this as much as possible. It is
Yep.
difficult, but it is something that I think that conversation is not going to go away. They're going to invest in it more. And and you're seeing our competitors, Russia and China, who's engaging with the rest of the world, attracting more of them to be part of these conversations as far as how do we erode the U.S. dollar dominance. So yes, quite interesting. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, yeah. One day I'll do a deep dive on this, but one thing that's interesting to me is I think that there's a fragile barrier that's protecting the United States economic sovereignty in the sense that what happens is whenever the conversation comes up, I listen to a lot of financial experts. I'm constantly taking in information. Whenever there's a conversation about people moving away from the dollar, moving away from mostly treasury bills as a place to store value, it almost always comes down to this idea that there's no replacement for the United States. Our markets are super deep and liquid. We have the rule of law. We have a separation. The Fed has not been politicized, things like that. And one beef I would take up with Trump in terms of arguing how he's going to hurt America long term is he's kind of undermining a lot of that. He's been talking openly about getting rid of the Fed chair and putting his own little puppet in place of him and all that. And what that does is that makes people start to say, okay, so the US, you're kind of becoming just like China. Right. And so the only reason that we would put our money in the US instead of China is because we thought you guys had some sort of respect for institutional barriers that allow for our money to be safer and not be overly politicized and for crazy things to happen. And Trump, unfortunately, has destabilized that. So if I'm China, I say, hey, look, I know you don't like the fact that we're not a democracy, but neither is the United States, right? You don't like the fact that, we like to nationalize our businesses. But look at what the United States is doing. Look at what they did with Intel and these other companies, right? I know you don't like the fact that we may interfere with monetary policy. Just get the United States, right? And also we're not going to give you a hard time. We're not going to tell you that we're mad at you because you don't because you're not carrying the flag for gay people or whatever. Like we don't care how you feel about gay rights or any of these other issues, which are important issues, but the Chinese don't interfere with that. Whereas the United States is like, if we don't like your policy on sexuality, we'll put sanctions on you, right? So I think that what's going to happen is I think people are going to get tired of the United States overplaying its hand, and eventually 30, 40, 20, 30, 40 years down the line, you will see the dollar decline in power. Not so much because we've necessarily made these tragic mistakes, but because the dollar never should have been that powerful in the first place. I
Mm,
mean, literally those wars, the way World War I and World War II turned out, we literally were able and allowed to create the whole global economic order. And
yes.
lean it in our favor. And it's shown itself, like even in the US stock market. The US stock market has obliterated Europe and Asia the last 30 years because they're like, man, the US is holding all the cards. And what's happened though is, in my opinion, um, Trump, unfortunately, I think, is at risk of pushing things a little bit too far to the point where all the advantages that you had that you took for granted are eventually go away. Like people don't even realize this, Asha, that if you make how many, let's do an experiment. How many of y'all make more than $60,000 a year? Did anybody in here who makes more than 60,000, $60,000 a year? Raise your hand. Say yes in the chat if you make more than 60 grand a year. All right. So all the yeses are going to come in. Some of the no's are going to come in. That's all right. We're going to pray for you. We're going to work with you. You're going to be six figures. I promise you. Did you know, Asha, that if you make more than $60,000 a year, you are in the top 1% of earners on the planet Earth?
Oh, wow. Wow.
That-
Okay.
That's crazy. That's
Yes.
crazy, right? That you're in the top 1%. So we have a lot of people that say, "Oh, I'm poor and I'm struggling, and et cetera." And I'm not saying that you're not, but you think it's hard here. Try going to China. Go to Africa. Go to some parts of Latin America. We're really wealthy, and I don't even think we know how rich we are, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
this is, when you get that privilege, you got to protect your privilege. One of the biggest rules of wealth is protecting the wealth, and I don't think that Trump is doing a good job of protecting the wealth, power, and trust that
Right.
other countries put in the United States, and that's where I think long term the damage will be done. I want you to get the last word. I just said way too much. Tell us more. You got a website or something, or where people can like follow you? How can they get in touch with you? Because I know you know a lot of stuff.
Yes, thank you. Please contact me on my LinkedIn. Usually, when I speak with you, I get a lot of contacts on my LinkedIn. So thank you so much. Uh, and I'm revamping my website right now, but it's www.ashacasper.com. So you can find me there. But LinkedIn and my Instagram, really, really cool. And I'm going to be initiating my Substack soon too, where you'll see some of the reports and different things I'm going to be working on as far as national security, foreign policy, and how do we adapt to this. So yes, you can follow me there, and then of course, well, you can't really hit me up on here, but definitely consider purchasing my book, Why National Security Matters. This book is important right now because it gives you forward thinking analysis of where we're going in our world right now, especially in the United States, and how do we adapt, right? Overall. So please consider purchasing my book. Um, And last but not least, I want to just thank you, Boyce, once again for inviting me here. And, it's just been a treat. I always have fun coming on your podcast program. And just as Americans or as Black Americans, it's again, if you didn't pick up much from what I talked to you about, please just pay attention to the state of our national security foreign policy. And where do we start at? Follow the news in terms of BBC News and international outlets, but be careful of misinformation, disinformation out there. Be educated about what's going on right now. Don't be reactionary and not reading about what's happening. I just read just recently that the low literacy rate is getting worse in America right now, which tells me that we're just really detached about uh, reading and forgetting. Don't That also was a signal of they definitely ain't paying attention none abroad, right? So don't be like that way, but be careful as far as what you're reading out there, but educate yourself about just policy in general. Pay attention to how it works in terms of how these policies impact us here at home. And if you don't know, please reach out to me and I can help explain.
All right, all right. So that's this is Miss Asha Castleberry. She's a national security expert. She served her country proudly for 19 years, and she's just an all-around cool sister. So reach out to her, and her book is called "Why National Security Matters." So I hope that the B1 Nation will go and support her because we got to support our smart Black women and our smart Black men that are doing great things. These are our leaders. These are the ones that are going to support us as we become the greatest and strongest community on the planet. So, God bless you guys. Thank you guys for hanging out. Please hit the thumbs up button on the way out. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, my podcast is on Spotify. It's called the Dr. Boyce Breakdown. Feel free to look that up. And also, if you want to learn how to make money without working, I happen to have a finance PhD. And so, if you want to sell stock options and make extra money, don't. If you don't want to start that business and work like a slave, if you don't feel like doing a real estate deal, you probably want to sell stock options. That's what I do to make money for my family. If you'd like to learn more about that, you can go to drboyceprime.com. That URL is right above my head, drboyceprime.com. So God bless you. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you again, Asha. So great to see you.